Hello, my name is Megan Schlickman. I'm the owner of Nexus Financial. We do full service bookkeeping and tax for small businesses that use Jobber and QuickBooks. So today I'm going to talk about different ways that you can close out an invoice without a payment. There's going to be a few scenarios of when this might happen. So if you have your unpaid invoice open here, we can see over on the left-hand side, this one is awaiting payment. Under your more options, there's going to be two things that I'm going to cover here in this video. One is the option to void an invoice, and the other one is to close an invoice. You're going to use a void invoice if you created this invoice in error, if the customer cancels a job, if this work is not being done and the customer is not going to pay. That's a good time to void the invoice. It still keeps track of the invoice, whereas if you delete it, there's no way to search it. Deleting it, you won't be able to look in the archives to look up the invoice, whereas if you just void it, you will be able to always go back and reference this. That might be a good option if a customer cancels a job before you perform the work and you have this record here in case they cancel future jobs. And you're starting to see a track record of, okay, this person keeps requesting jobs and canceling them. Maybe you don't want to do work with them anymore. That's a good time to void an invoice. Once you do this, you can't undo it. You can't edit the invoice. You can't mark a payment against it at a later time. And then if you void the invoice and there's already a deposit on the invoice, that deposit is just applied to their customer account balance for a future invoice. That's when I would suggest to void an invoice. The other options you're going to have is under close invoice. So if you want to close an invoice, the first option it suggests is going to be with a payment. This is the same action as if you were to just select collect payment in the upper right. From the beginning, you can add in the details of check or cash, or if they paid you via Venmo, that's the place that you're going to record that information. The other option it's going to give you here is to close the invoice as bad debt. What this does is this is saying, hey, we invoiced the customer, we performed the work, but we cannot get a hold of them. They're not following up on their invoice. They're not going to be paying us, but we really did do the work, and this really was supposed to be revenue into our business, and we already spent the man hours on it and purchased all the supplies and things like that. If you write it as bad debt, what it does is it lowers your customer balance on their Jobber customer profile here. And on the accounting side, your bookkeeper, your accountant can see that you are never planning on collecting on this invoice because of whatever reason happened with your customer. Now, bad debt can be written off for businesses that file their taxes in an accrual basis, but bad debt is not generally a expense that cash basis businesses can write off. So just know that there's a difference there. Even if you mark this invoice as bad debt, there may be a chance that you don't write it off on your taxes at the end of the year, and that's a great conversation to have with your bookkeeper or tax firm. The final option is going to be record or to close the invoice without recording a payment. This is rarely ever used. If you do use this option, it still leaves the balance on your customer account to where in this invoice example, they'd still have a balance owed of $250, but there's no invoice to apply it to. I haven't seen a instance or an example where this is the best solution to choose. Generally, my customers run into issues where they either need to void an invoice or they need to mark it as bad debt to let me know that their customer is not going to be paying on it. So if you have any questions about collecting payments, closing invoices, voiding them, deleting them, let me know. Drop it in the comments below. Also, you can get a hold of me in the description box. There's going to be a place where you can book a consultation call. If you are interested in connecting with a bookkeeper to have your bookkeeping completed for you, we maintain all the sync issues between Jobber and QuickBooks to give you accurate financial reports for your business so that you can focus on running the business and not have to worry about this messy stuff behind the scenes. All right. Thank you guys, and talk to you soon.